Welcome back, warrior. We are reading Genesis chapter 11. It says, all men speak the same language. They build the Tower of Babel. The Lord, Babel. The Lord confounds their language and scatters them over all the earth. The generations of Shem include Abram, whose wife is Sarai. Abram leaves Ur and settles in Haran. Okay. Also Babel, potato. Okay. We're fine. However you want to say it, it's all good. Okay. So, verse 1, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And we're not talking about like an airplane. Plains as in like plain land. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Okay, so let's read some quotes here. So one of Ham's descendants was Nimrod. In Genesis chapter 10, verse 8 to 10, we learn that Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. However, the Joseph Smith translation corrects it to say that he was a mighty hunter in the land. Consider what the difference is between being mighty before the Lord versus being a mighty hunter. Sorry, hold on, what? Yeah, that he was mighty hunter in the land. Okay. Being a mighty hunter would gain a lot of fame and laud in the land, especially in those days. Nimrod became more than a hunter. He built cities, one of them being Babel, or aka Babylon. The land of Shinar was located in what is now Iraq, Kuwait, and Iran, which was a fertile place and would have been a desirable place to settle. It appears that they developed the ability to make bricks that would allow for taller, stronger buildings to be built higher than they had built before. As they increased their ability, then they began to trust in themselves rather than in God. This is what Orson Pratt says. He says, quote, we come down to the days of the building of the Tower of Babel soon after the flood. About the time of Abraham, the Tower of Babel was built. The people, being of one language, gathered together to build a tower to reach, as they supposed, the crystallized heavens. They thought that the city of Enoch was caught up a little ways from the earth, and that the city was within the first sphere above the earth. That's weird. And that if they could get a tower high enough, they might get to heaven, where the city of Enoch and the inhabitants thereof were located. They went to work and built a tower. They had this tradition that there had been a translation of people from the earth, and they were anxious to become acquainted with them. But the Lord saw that they were one, and that they all had one language, and that nothing would be restrained from them which they imagined to do. Flavius Joseph, end quote. And that's Orson Pratt, Journal of Discourses, volume 16. So then there's this guy. Flavius Josephus was a Jewish priest, scholar, and historian. He was born around AD 37 in Jerusalem and wrote some valuable historic records. Of Nimrod, he wrote, quote, sorry, it's a lot. Okay, now the plain in which they first dwelt was called Shinar. God also commanded them to send colonies abroad for the thorough peopling of the earth, that they might not raise seditions among themselves, but might cultivate a great part of the earth and enjoy its fruits after a plentiful manner. But they were so ill instructed that they did not obey God, for which reason they fell into calamities and were made sensible by experiencing of what sin they had been guilty. For when they flourished with a numerous youth, God admonished them again to send out colonies. But they, imagining the prosperity they enjoyed was not derived from the favor of God, but supposing that their own power was the proper cause of the plentiful condition they were in, did not obey him. Nay, they added to this their disobedience to the divine will, the suspicion that they were therefore ordered to send out separate colonies, that being divided asunder, they might more easily be oppressed. Now it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. He was the grandson of Ham, the son of Noah, a bold man and of great strength of hand. He persuaded them not to ascribe it to God, as if it was through his means they were happy, but to believe that it was their own courage which procured that happiness. He also gradually changed the government into tyranny, seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God, but to bring them into a constant dependence on his power instead. End quote. Okay. Oh, and then there's more, but it's kind of long, so I was just not going to do that. So how quickly mankind turned to wickedness after the flood, rather than understanding God's ways and the importance of living in righteousness, they develop ways to try and escape God's judgments, like Orson Pratt suggested, to build a tower to reach those who were translated, or like Josephus wrote, to build a tower too high for the waters to be able to reach. And notice the anger they felt about the flood, that the multitude did esteem it a piece of cowardice to submit to God. How quickly mankind turned to wickedness. And to feel like where they were and how they accomplished things, and now that they were able to conquer or take over certain spaces of land, like as if that was anything that they had to do with it. But it was God's doing, because he cleared the land for them, right? So anyways, it is kind of crazy to think that, right? It's like, how quickly do the generations forget how God saved them and their people? Verse 7, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Right? Therefore, the name of it called Babel. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord, or Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years and begat Selah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Selah 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Selah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Selah lived after he begat Eber 430 years and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years. What's this? 430. Oh, the other one was 403 years. Sorry. This one's 430. I'm like, everybody's living 430? Anyway. Begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu, or Ru, 209 years and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons and daughters. And Serug lived after he begat and Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terah. And a normal name, Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot. And Lot died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren, she had no child, and Terah took Abram his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Okay. So, really quick, last comment about Tower of Babel. God confounded their language and scattered the groups. The Book of Mormon holds the record of one of these groups who were scattered, which is the story of the Jaredites in the Book of Ether. The rest of this chapter details the posterity of Shem and the 9 generations following him, even until Abram, later called Abraham, was upon the earth, as John Taylor said, quote, about this time, a singular kind of personage appeared on the stage of action named Abraham, end quote. Abraham was born at the right time for God to establish a covenant people upon the earth, and we can see how badly that was needed. And you are part of this story. This is the beginning of understanding the Abrahamic covenant, the responsibilities of the house of Israel, and the gathering of Israel, meant to happen in the last days. Here is where that story starts. Oh, that's cute. I mean, it's awesome, but also pretty cute, right? Okay, so that is it for Genesis chapter 11. We're going to read, live it. Wait, was I supposed to read chapter 12? Wait a second. Oh, okay, no, Moses 8, we already read that. Okay, so here's our read it, live it. And it says, let us build us a city and a tower, and whose top may reach unto heaven. When people try to climb to heaven on their own, they will always fall. God sent his son to help lead us home. Let him lead you. Ooh, that's good. It's so true, because when we try to do things ourselves, it's going to be just like the Tower of Babel. We're just going to fall, get confused. It's going to be chaos. It's not going to work out. That I do think it's interesting. I want to throw out there that what if you knew some of the people that were translated in the city of Enoch? And what if it was your family? Or what if it was your best friend, or something? Because everybody has somebody that they know that's not a member of the church, right? And so it's how would they have felt if you left? And how would they want to continue to communicate with you, or to try and be with you after you left? So I'm trying to not act as if those scriptures don't apply, right? Because I think once we do that, then we become prideful and nothing can make me fall. I'm not that kind of person. I think Satan is very crafty in what he does. And so it is possible that any of us can forget our testimonies and be distracted by the world's things. And so I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of those who were building the Tower of Babel. And so, of course, I'm going to think of somebody that I know who maybe went with the city of Enoch and was devastating to me. I mean, I know that there are even people who have spouses who are not members, right? Imagine if your spouse went up, or, whatever, imagine just somebody that you really love, and what would you do to get to them, right? So I don't necessarily think that the Tower of Babel is something that would never happen, right? Because I think we all build those small towers. How can we get there? How can we get there on our own? But that is not ever going to happen. That's not going to work for us. We can't get there on our own. The only way to get there is through Christ, with Christ, and because of Christ. And so, we have to remember that. And even though it's so hard to, remember, I just think of what would I have done if somebody that I love went up and I didn't get to go. I would be devastated, and I would do anything I could to go, to be there. Because I would have realized later that they were right? Like, it's one of those things that you would like, what? I didn't know. Like, I didn't know it was all serious, And so for sure, I would have been the one like looking up like, why am I by myself? And like, just so sad, And so the fact that they tried to do that isn't completely crazy to me anymore, because I'm able to put myself in their shoes just a touch to see. But yeah, imagine, like, I know even parents these days who lose children, and, like, and that they're with the Lord, like what, like they would build a tower if they could, like if they literally believed that that's how they could get to their kid, they would do it, And so it's, again, not so far-fetched that, that these people would build something that would try and get them as close as possible to their loved ones that they had. And yeah, they were missing the mark, but still, Anyway, okay, that is it for today. Until Genesis chapter 12, stay strong, warrior. Oh, and it's not because I think it's like a good idea or anything. Like, we need to follow the Lord. I just, that's why we say stay strong, warrior, because sometimes we get weak. And so we need to be reminded to stay strong, stay with the Lord. He is the one that is going to save us and take us home. All right, that was it.